What's up? It's Jimfro. Today it's going to be a little bit more of a relaxed and chilled reaction because Quazii is the bro, you know? We're not trying to get too hyped up at the bro, so...
Today, we're talking about World of Warcraft Alpha. A lot of people have been asking me about my thoughts on World of Warcraft Dragonflight Alpha, given I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV for over a year now. To be honest, I was really surprised to be invited into the Dragonflight internal alpha as well.
Surprised that I wasn't
I want to
invited.
present my honest opinions about the Dragonflight alpha, especially through the lens of someone who has been playing Final Fantasy XIV for a while now. Now, with that out of the way, let me talk about my experience with the Dragonflight alpha and what I think about it as the latest MMO expansion
here we
for
go.
World of Warcraft. First up is talent trees. Now, in short, one of the biggest unhappiness I have with World of Warcraft is that there's all these insane external grinds that we have been doing in the past few years. Grinding island expeditions for our necklace. Grinding reputation in Nasrata and Macagon for our essences. Grinding for corrupted gear. Grinding renown for our covenants. Grinding benthic armor pieces. Just to roll on
Benthic was
sockets.
dog shit!
That was the biggest turnoff for me. So I was very thorough in testing the alpha. I wanted to make sure there's no hidden external grinds that they didn't mention in the press. Maybe it was something that they intend to keep hidden from the world and they will mention it at the last second. So I went into the alpha looking for any traces of that. And credit to Blizzard, I couldn't find any hidden external grinds. The talent trees is literally all there is to it to player power. The talent trees basically works this way. Whenever you level, they give you a talent point.
So he's saying there's no external grinds that he found that are those repetitive grinds over and over, and he's saying that all of your player power is basically coming from the talent tree, which to me, and I'm assuming to Quazii as well, is fucking fantastic. The fact that everything is in one centralized place, love that.
That talent point can be spent somewhere in this talent tree, and that impacts your player power. It grants you new abilities, it makes certain abilities stronger, and I guess credit where credit is due, that's a good direction. Way better than those tedious external grinds we've done. Now, is it too late for them to recognize their mistakes? It all hinges on the next 5.5 months. Why do I say that? I tested all the talent trees, all the classes in the game, and there are some talent trees that are still missing. The Warlock talent trees are missing, the Warrior talent trees are missing, as well as Paladins, Demon Hunters, and I believe Mages too. Now, I know there are data miners out there who are trying to piece it together, but I'm saying, as of the 15th of July, in the build itself, when you create any of those classes, I cannot select the new talent trees. I'm actually still using the old talent trees from Shadowlands. And remember, these are classes. Within the classes, there are individual specs. Most of them have 3 specs each. And because they want to release the game this year, they have the next 5.5 months to fine-tune all the talent trees for every single class in the game. All 12 of them. Well, actually, if you add the new Evoker class, there's 13 of them. That sounds like a lot of work for 5.5 months. And that's why I say the most critical thing is that they have now taken the first step. It's in the correct direction. But the rest of the way is kind of like a marathon. In this case, kind of a sprint. Can they balance it well in 5.5 months?
Well, one of the things that Asmongold said, which I think was absolutely fantastic, is that they don't have anything else really to do in the game. Like, what are the features in Dragonflight? You've got dragon flying, you've got, you know, the world and quest and all the stuff that they normally do, but you have dragon flying, Drakthir, Evoker, and talents. That's like it. So like, in the grand scheme of things, it seems like nothing compared to what they had to do in Shadowlands with Covenants, Soulbinds, Conduits, Legendaries. I think that they're gonna have a much easier time in comparison than what it was for Shadowlands.
Keeping in mind, a lot of, you know, world first raiders, top players, they have came out to say that the alpha talent trees as it is, some of them are a bit lopsided and unbalanced. For example, should an interrupt ability be baseline for certain specs and classes? There's a debate ongoing. The talent tree forces you to make certain decisions. For example, do you want to spend a talent point on interrupt when interrupt has been mostly a baseline ability? This is just one example, of course. The point I'm trying to drive home is that they have to create new talent trees, and they also have to balance the talent trees in terms of roles and columns. It was quite clear from Shadowlands Season 3 in Mythic Plus, they were very slow to fine-tune changes for classes. Warlock was broken right from the start. It's way ahead of other classes in terms of AoE abilities, and they only waited until the very end of Season 3 to nerf Warlocks. So coming back to Dragonflight, again, in these 5.5 months, they cannot afford to work at such a pace. They need to work really fast, reiterate, get feedback from people.
They are too, by the way, because one of the trees that were really lopsided was Unholy DK, and from what I hear from the top one Unholy DK players is that they're making wonderful changes, like changes that they didn't expect Blizzard to be making in the right direction. So I think they're on it, and the thing that scares me are the last classes to get shown are probably going to be the ones that kind of get left behind. But the ones that already got shown are probably going to be in fantastic shape, right?
People who are testing and then reiterate again. Whether they can do it or not is entirely up to them. And that's why I think in the next 5.5 months, we would truly see whether Dragonflight can make a comeback for the franchise. It's still early days. They have also implemented a brand new feature, a mount feature called Dragon Riding. I've never played Guild Wars 2, but I'm told this came from Guild Wars 2 as well. Yeah. And it allows you to do aerial maneuvers in the air. There's a resource system you need to manage.
According to all the content creators, it's the best feature in 20 years.
And it's called Vigor. And apparently you recharge your Vigor while you're doing stunts in the air.
Those things at the bottom.
Air at great speeds. When testing this out, it did feel engaging. But keep in mind, I don't think a flying mount mechanic can actually carry an expansion. When flying mounts was first introduced to World of Warcraft, everyone was very excited. Everyone wanted to grind for their gold, to purchase flying. It's the same thing for Dragon Riding. In 6 months, 7 months, 8 months down the road, the question is whether Dragon Riding is still like a novel idea that everyone enjoys. It's really up to how Blizzard executes the game.
Yeah, like how are they gonna keep it fun and fresh 6 months down the line? Like, unless they do some type of like PvP racing or they do some type of challenge mode things, I don't understand how dragon flying can be that great. And also, it's only available in the Dragon Isles. It's not available in the real world unless you're the Drakthir or something like that, which you get the base version of it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they manage to keep people engaged with dragon flying, since it's not really that, it's not like a Torghast feature, but people are loving it. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it can be something that's just a staple, and maybe it'll carry over to next expansions, and they'll allow you to have like some type of dragon mount or something that can fly in the rest of the worlds.
What do I mean? For example, in the game, they have little mini games where you can kind of raise your dragon. And I think if they continue to give people reason to invest in dragon riding, and I'm not sure whether you can level up your dragon riding, make your dragon faster and stuff like that. I haven't seen that on the alpha yet. But if they can give people a reason to continue playing dragon riding or explore dragon riding and not see it as a mere mode of transport, then maybe this feature will be a pillar for the expansion. But hopefully, again, early days. Still lots of builds for alpha and beta to see. We are only at the first step. Now, let me move on to talk about the new professions revamp. Coming from Final Fantasy XIV, it seems like World of Warcraft is also trying to make crafting relevant at endgame. Right now, crafting isn't exactly relevant at endgame.
Isn't exactly relevant is an understatement. Crafting is about as non-existent as it's ever been in the game. Like, crafting and professions in general are just not a part of Shadowlands. It just doesn't exist. And I would even say that it was barely a part of BFA. So we'll see what they do with it.
Except for maybe the first 2 weeks of an expansion, where crafted gear is very relevant, and we're still trying to figure out the market. World of Warcraft have revamped their profession system. And in their revamp, there's high quality, medium quality, and low quality materials that is used in your craft. And depending on the materials you use, it will impact the output. For example, the eye level. Or if it's potions, the potency of the potion. For example, a high quality potion will last longer in terms of duration. And this is just one aspect. There's other things like your crafting gear. Your professions now can wear crafting gear. For example, if you're a blacksmith, you can equip a blacksmith hammer, and that will increase your crafting skill. You can also have some blacksmith accessories that I wouldn't go into the technical details of. And for everything you craft, there's a difficulty level to the recipe you're crafting. And this difficulty level can vary. For example, if you add an optional reagent, maybe in this case, it guarantees that your gear crafted will be of X eye level, it increases the difficulty of your recipe. And then your crafting skills needs to be high enough for you to craft a difficult recipe. And various things affect your crafting skills, including what level is your current profession, your base level. Do you use high quality materials? The higher you use, the more likely you are able to succeed to craft a great piece of gear.
I don't think he's doing a great job at explaining the changes to professions, because ultimately it's New World system where you go get the materials. There's the base level materials, and you can get like a rank 1, and then you can get like really good materials and like a whole bunch of them, and then you can get like rank 2 or rank 3, 4, 5, and then you can add like little modifiers to it to make sure that you get a specific like really good effect that you want. And then it's like really difficult to get these type of things, so you're gonna be like the only person that's in your guild or in a group of guilds that could even craft this one thing, because you focused everything you have into this one style of crafting. And that's what Blizzard's trying to do, but we'll watch a different video explaining that more.
So it's something called inspiration, which I guess is a reference to your state of mind as a crafter. But you get the point. They're trying to make crafting relevant. They're trying to give it a lot more depth. And I see the merit of this thing looking at Omni Crafters in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, what concerns me is that for someone like me who used to do a lot of Mythic Plus content, dungeon content, you go through consumables like it's water. And for you to min-max all your crafting and equipment, it does sound like you have to go out there and gather the best materials if you want to min-max. Now, for people like me, if you want to min-max, it does sound like it could get really expensive. And there's practical reasons to min-max as well. Take an invisibility potion for instance. Let's say the highest quality is 20 seconds of invisibility, the lowest is 14 seconds. That 6 seconds of difference could mean whether you could do a certain skip in a dungeon before your invisibility runs out. Now imagine a world where if you want to push the very high-end content and you need to get the very best and min-max, I'm gonna guess it can be quite expensive in terms of your gold expense. And we all know you can buy WoW tokens.
But let's be real, like in Legion, they had the good potion and then they had the potion of prolonged power, I think it was called, right? And you could just spam those over and over, and no one had a problem using those because it was like maybe like a 5 or 10% like decrease in the potion efficiency or effectiveness, but it was so much cheaper that it was just worth spamming. And I don't think anyone, unless you're running like, you know, plus 25s and shit like that, like people aren't gonna really care about making sure they have the 1 or 2 extra intellect or whatever it is. I don't think that's gonna be something that the high-end community cares about. I think that as long as you're able to get a really good value at some point with one of the potions, or I'm pretty sure people will be okay with that.
Okay, gold. And as a player, I don't think I want to be in a state where if I want to min-max, I feel compelled to get my gold from somewhere or being pushed towards buying WoW tokens. So that's one of my big worries. And speaking about worries, let's move on.
That's actually a good point, because if there is a big enough gap between the weak potion and the strongest potion, Blizzard might be pushing people to get the WoW token because of this. That's a good fucking point. Holy shit.
To talk about where I think Blizzard needs to work on. I was able to test one zone out of the 4 zones in the alpha. So there's 3 other zones that they are still working on, and I tried venturing into them, but the game will kick you out basically if you try to do so, and it teleports you back home. I wasn't able to test any of the 8 dungeons or any of the raids. So on top of the talent trees that I mentioned that they need to sort out, there's also the 8 dungeons and the raid that the game needs to launch with that they need to fix in the next 5.5 months. That includes tuning changes, that includes raid design.
A lot of fucking work.
So there's a lot of work to be done, as you can imagine.
A lot of work.
Now, Blizzard has said they want to launch Dragonflight this year. And there's a huge part of me that thinks if there's...
Not only have they said it, they did pre-orders. So they have to get it out this year. Just who knows whether or not it's going to be finished.
Even a slight risk of them not being able to release a polished game, they should probably delay it. Because though the compass is pointing in the right direction now, but if they run out of time, they might not make it to the correct...
The only way that they could delay it is if they give everyone a refund. And there's no chance that they're doing that.
Destination. It's pretty much going to be a marathon for the next 6 months. So if you take a step back and think about things, nobody really knows how this thing will pan out. Hopefully this video answers your questions on my take regarding the alpha. If there's a TLDR, it's this. Compass is in the right direction. Initial compass, the bearings in the right direction. The next 5.5 months, a lot of hard work to be done. And that is the true test for whether Dragonflight can really be a successful expansion, and that is my honest take. At the end of the day, even if Dragonflight is successful, do know I do take comfort in the fact that I can always call Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea home. All the friends I've made in Final Fantasy XIV will be there, and that is something I cherish, and that's really precious to me.
All right, well, I mean, I love his take on it. I think that he was spot on almost everything other than professions, and he is right that if the game isn't good, just go play a different game. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with if Dragonflight is a miss, just get out of there. But he's also right on the fact that it is heading in the right direction, and we got 5 months to figure out whether or not it's going to be something that's worth a purchase. Go sub to Quazii. He makes amazing content for Final Fantasy 14. I will see you all next time. Peace.